Hi, Kevin here. For dinner tonight, I'm fixing a healthy cabbage casserole. Now, my mother used to make this same dish back in the 1970s when I was a kid. She was a thrifty cook, and cabbage casserole is not only nutritious and delicious, it's inexpensive. So let's go over the ingredients. All right, for this recipe, you will need 4 large eggs, a 1/4 cup or 58 grams of regular mayonnaise, 1/4 cup or 62 grams of either sour cream or plain yogurt, a 1/4 cup, that's about 30 grams, of all-purpose flour. You could use a gluten-free substitute here. Some salt, some pepper, a teaspoon or 4 grams of baking powder, and a teaspoon or 4 grams of cornstarch, and 4 ounces, or that's about 1 cup or 112 grams of some grated or shredded cheese. I'm using shredded Swiss cheese today. You will also need the star of the show, which is a 1/2 of a medium head of cabbage. This weighs around 500 grams, but you certainly don't have to measure your cabbage. Just use 1/2 of a medium head. All right, my oven has preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 177 degrees Celsius. So now, here's how I prepare the cabbage. So first I cut out this hard core, and then I cut the cabbage lengthwise in half. And then I cut each half into thin strips. In other words, I just slice it thinly. All right, my cabbage is all sliced, and I'm just running my knife over it to make the pieces fairly small. And then put the cabbage in a large bowl. And sprinkle it with about a teaspoon of salt. Now you could add some sliced scallion here, or maybe add some chives, but I actually like this casserole just with the cabbage. So now give this a toss with your hands, and then massage the cabbage. And the reason we're doing this is to soften the cabbage so that it will have a beautiful creamy texture when it bakes. And you'll feel some of the moisture coming out of the cabbage as you massage it. This is actually a fun job. Okay, now let me grab my baking dish. This is a greased 2-quart baking dish. I always label my dishes with a Sharpie so I know the volume they hold. And then pour in the cabbage. In you go. Okay, and then set this aside for about 5 minutes and let the cabbage rest. Meanwhile, we're going to make the sauce that will hold the cabbage in a beautiful suspension. And to make the sauce that will hold the shreds of cabbage in a creamy suspension, what you do is break the 4 eggs into a medium-sized bowl, and then whisk them really well. By the way, I really love cabbage. It makes my body feel good. I don't know what it is about cabbage, but it just does wonders for me. So now add the mayonnaise. and beat that in. And don't worry if you have some clumps of mayonnaise or sour cream in here. It won't matter a bit. Here's the sour cream. Okay, then I'm going to add a pinch of black pepper. I'm not going to add any more salt because I already used a teaspoon for the cabbage. And also the cheese contains some salt. Okay, now add the flour and the baking powder. That's 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Probably don't need that much, but that's what I'm using. And the baking powder is going to do the same thing that the eggs do, and that is to help the casserole to puff up in the oven. Now I'm adding a teaspoon of cornstarch. Again, just beat that in. You don't need electric beaters here. A whisk will do just fine. And there we are. Pour this glorious sauce right on top of the cabbage. Use a spatula to make sure you move all of the sauce from the bowl to the cabbage. And then use a spatula to stir the mixture so that all of the cabbage is coated with this eggy mixture. Just like that. And by the way, the cornstarch that I added is there to absorb some of the liquid from the cabbage that would otherwise make the casserole soggy. So this is not at all a soggy casserole. It's just creamy and delicious. Okay, now add the cheese. You can add less cheese if you like. I just tend to like more cheese. And again, this is Swiss cheese. I made the same casserole a couple of days ago with Swiss cheese, and it was fabulicious. Okay, there we go. All right, I'm going to pop this onto the middle rack of the preheated oven until the casserole puffs and the cheese melts and turns spotty brown. About 50 minutes. And then we'll come back when this is done. And here is the casserole fresh out of the oven. Here's a close-up. As you can see, it really puffed up and the cheese turned spotty brown. I'm going to let this cool for a little bit and then we can have a taste of it. All right, it is time for a taste. Look at how easily you can cut this casserole. You can cut it into little squares or big squares. Check this out. It's a beautiful casserole. Bon appetit. Oh, this is so good. The cabbage cooked up to this creamy consistency. And of course the Swiss cheese on top is wonderful. Yeah, I wouldn't change anything about this casserole, although you are certainly welcome to make additions if you like. You could add some other seasonings. You could add, as I said earlier, some scallion. One more bite. Now, this would make a terrific side dish for a hamburger or a steak or a Thanksgiving turkey. But I'm going to enjoy it as a main course tonight. Super healthy, super delicious. So thank you so much for watching. I will post the list of ingredients in the description below, and then I will also put a printable recipe over on my website, and I will link the website below. Thank you so much for watching. Take good care of yourself, and I will see you next time. Try this casserole, okay? Bye for now.